Lions facing some great teams this year, but also quarterback upgrades. We'll talk about it.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Derry with you. It is another installment of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Monday, May 19th into Tuesday, May 20th. Thank you for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to our everydayers that are out there watching and listening to the podcast daily. Appreciate you. Met some new listeners over the weekend. Got to give a couple of shout outs. Number one, my new good friend and Lyft driver, Cassandra Lately. Cassandra's in the car, taking me and some fam and friends downtown this weekend, and a huge Lions fan. She even has the Lions license plate. So Cassandra, shout out to you. She said she's going to check out the podcast. And my boy, Tyler Westfall from Moots in Detroit. Great pizza, great bar next door. Why am I blanking on the name? But regardless, Tyler is one of the managers down there. Great guy, knows my boy Alex Urban, who loves his Tigers. Big series, Alex, coming up later on this week. But I want to give Tyler Westfall some love as well. All right, coming up on the program today, we got to talk about quarterbacks a little bit. The Lions are going to be facing some really, really good quarterbacks this year. And they faced some good ones last year, but I want to do a little compare contrast as our crack research staff put something together. We'll get into that. Also, some whispers around town. My boy, Joseph Allen III, JA3, JP3, hit me up about an Alex Anzalone extension. Justin Rogers talked about it at Detroit Football Network. We'll get into that today as well. Lions this week, there's a big proposal out. Lions, of course, wanted some reseeding done for the playoffs. We'll see if that comes to fruition. And we have a call of the day as well. If you want to be our call of the day, just go to www.speakpipe.com/Dairy Podcast page. And you too can be our call of the day. We're going to play one of the installments today on the program. Tomorrow, Jamie Edmonds from WJR. She's on the JR Morning Show, formerly of Channel 4, although she still does some fill-in work at Channel 4. But you all knew Jamie from doing weekend sports at Channel 4. Does some Lions coverage from WJR as well, and is the co-host of the morning show. She is going to join us tomorrow on this very program. All right, the crack research staff was hard at work over the weekend, and I love this stuff, and I love getting into geeking out sometimes when it comes to quarterbacks. Look, we talked about it all last week when the schedule came out on how difficult the Lions schedule is going to be. And I got to, of course, anytime you save stuff on your phone, it just completely goes away and throws a monkey wrench at my plans here. But, all right. And I'm even going to put on the old readers so I can see here. So for those of you watching, bear with me here on the old YouTube channel. But last season, the Lions had to face some really good quarterbacks. We've talked last week about the schedule as well. When the schedule came out on Wednesday, we did 3 shows about it. All right. Go back and listen to anything you missed last week about the schedule, how difficult it is, how historically tough the Lions road schedule is. Not a single 1:00 road game. It's crazy. But the crack research staff and I were doing some texting this weekend about quarterbacks and how the Lions are going to be going up against some damn good quarterbacks this year. Last year, there were some games that the Lions played that you just knew based on the opposition and the opposition's quarterback that Detroit was going to have a field day. If you recall, last year, the Lions faced Jacksonville and didn't have to play against Trevor Lawrence, or Lawrence got hurt early in the game and Mac Jones came in and it was lights out. So last year, the Lions faced Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, and Caleb Williams in the division. Right? We know this. This year, it'll be Jordan Love again, starting in week 1. J.J. McCarthy this time. The Vikings will have him under center instead of Sam Darnold. Will that be an upgrade or not? Kind of an expected upgrade, but wait and see. Darnold, obviously, in week 18, wet his pants and stained the sheets against the Lions. And then Caleb Williams is just expected to be better than he was last year. Heck, he didn't even want to be in Chicago last year based on this new book and everything else. And you have to figure Ben Johnson will have Caleb playing better football. Matthew Stafford, you're going to see Matthew Stafford again. Baker Mayfield, you're going to see Baker Mayfield again this year. Dak Prescott last year and now this year. So those are three that you'll also see this year that you saw last year. But think about this for a second. Last year, the Lions faced the MVP and Josh Allen. Unbelievable player, and put on a show at Ford Field. That was a laser show by Josh Allen when the Bills came in and wiped the floor with the Lions defense. Now, instead of Josh Allen, the Lions are going to have to face Lamar Jackson, and they're going to have to do so on the road. I would say that's kind of an even swap. Brock Purdy, the Lions saw last year, of course, the newly crowned $53 million man. Boy, are these contracts in the NFL insane. And I like Brock Purdy, but $53 million a year, whatever. Instead of Brock Purdy, you're going to see Joe Burrow. That's an upgrade. That's a better quarterback than this year. On this year's schedule, you're going to see than last year's. C.J. Stroud, the Lions played last year in Houston. Instead of C.J. Stroud this year, the Lions are facing Jaden Daniels. I would say two high-quality quarterbacks, and I would make that kind of a push. For those of you that would say no, that you think Daniels is better, fine. The Lions go from having to face Kyler Murray a year ago. Good quarterback, not great, to Patrick Mahomes. What do you want me to say about that? Patrick Mahomes is a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's an upgrade. Lions faced Geno Smith last year when they played the Seahawks. Of course, we know about Geno's prowess at Ford Field. Instead of Geno Smith this year, the Lions are going to face Jalen Hurts of the Eagles. That is another upgrade. That is also more difficult, right? I mentioned last year the Lions faced Trevor Lawrence and then Mac Jones. This year they're going to face Russell Wilson or whomever the Giants throw at the Lions, but I would say a little bit of a downgrade. Anthony Richardson, Lions faced last year against the Colts. He cannot throw a forward pass, but I think he'll be better this year. Instead of Anthony Richardson, the Lions will likely face Joe Flacco. That's a September game, I believe, week 4. Is that when the Lions play the Browns? I believe. Flacco could be the starter. Heck, by that time, it could be the Shedeur Sanders show. Man, I would love to see that, but that's kind of an unknown swap there. And then last year when the Lions faced the Titans, Mason Rudolph was the quarterback. Now the Lions are going to be facing the Steelers. That could be Mason Rudolph again, or that could be Aaron Rodgers. Or heck, it could be Will Howard for all we know in December. But the bottom line is the Lions are going to be facing even tougher competition at quarterback, a raised Caleb Williams. Who knows? I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be good. I do. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to take J.J. McCarthy and make him a big-time weapon. You're facing Patrick Mahomes. You're facing Lamar Jackson. There's not a lot of gimmies there on this schedule. Browns, Giants, quarterback situations, Pittsburgh's could be messy in December. The Lions have got to prepare themselves for upgrades at the quarterback position. And when you're facing elite quarterbacks and you're facing elite teams with elite quarterbacks, it doesn't get any easier. This football team won 15 games last year. No one's asking them to go 15-2 again this year, but this defense has to be healthy and has to be better because you're going to be facing elite quarterbacks. And like I said, there's just not a lot of breaks in this schedule for sure. So this is what the Lions are dealt. But Kelvin Shepard, the Lions defensive coordinator, I'm a fan. I think he's going to do a good job. I do. But they've got to be healthy and they've got to be ready. There's just the schedule's not only tough, but the quarterbacks on the other side are tough as well. And so just something to kind of throw out there that you think about. You see the upgrades. You see, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, yes, is a push, but you're going from Kyler Murray to Patrick Mahomes. You're going from, facing Jalen Hurts this year instead of Geno Smith. There's upgrades all over the place. All right, coming up next, what would an Alex Anzalone extension look like? Great piece by Justin Rogers at Detroit Football Network. And people are talking about it because is that the next extension that happens? When's the Hutch extension? What about JMO? There's a lot to go into. But Alex Anzalone's situation a little bit different because he's 32 years of age. And maybe, just maybe, would he give the Lions a hometown discount because of his background here and everything that he's done here? We'll talk about that coming up next right here on Locked on Lions. It's a Monday edition. And Locked on Lions today brought to you by our friends at the Skylight Calendar. Say goodbye to sticky notes, scribbled plans on the fridge, and overlapping calendar invites. No. The Skylight Calendar is here to bring clarity to the chaos and help families stay organized without the stress. This sleek digital display syncs with your existing calendars, Google, Apple, Outlook, and more, making it simple to track appointments, practices, dinners, and remainders all in one easy-to-see place, all right? What would it mean to eliminate the I didn't know excuse from your family's routine? Could assigning everyone their own color finally solve the who does what confusion in your house? Get it done with the Skylight Calendar. Seriously, right now, Skylight is offering our listeners, Locked On Lions listeners, $30 off your first 15-inch calendar by going to skylightcal.com/NFL. Go to skylightcal.com/NFL for $30 off your first 15-inch calendar. That is skylightcal.com/NFL. We are with you on a Monday edition of Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Don't forget, our man Jake Riepma has the Locked On Detroit Sports postcast. So anytime the Tigers are playing, here on out here, best team in the American League, best team in baseball, heck. They have just been great. But like Tigers played the Blue Jays yesterday, the minute that game ends, check out Locked On Sports Detroit with Jake. He does a postcast after all the games, did them after the Pistons games, Wings games, Lions games, does a great job talking Detroit sports on the Locked On Detroit Sports postcast with my man Jake Riepma. All right, so like I said before, one of our everydayers, Joe, was hitting me up about, hey, what have you heard about an Alex Anzalone extension? To which my answer to him was nothing. I have not heard anything. But yes, Alex Anzalone is entering free agency. He's in the final year of his 3-year, $18 million deal. You look at what Alex Anzalone brings to the table. Before we get into anything, let's just talk about the player first and foremost. He's a defensive captain, all right? He's arguably, in some games, your best linebacker, right? You could make a case for Jack Campbell. You could make a case for, Derek Barnes, if you're a Derek Barnes fan, and obviously he was hurt a lot of last year. Lions are moving guys in and out. Rodrigo's a good player and everything else, but Anzalone is kind of the glue to the defense. Sideline to sideline, runs and plays so hard, hits you hard. And, last year, he broke his wrist and missed like 6 weeks. But he's played very well. And the Gaines media poster boy, as I like to call him, has definitely earned a look to be a part of the future here. Currently, according to Justin Rogers of Detroit Football Network, Anzalone has a $7.26 million cap hit for this coming season and a $1.2 million cap hit next year after the contract voids. If the Lions gave him, according to Justin, let's say another $20 million in new money with a $5 million signing bonus, and they added another $9.5 million guaranteed, the structure could be something like, let's just say, a $6 million base, $2 million in signing bonus. Let's say you give him a 2-year extension at like $12 million. TJ Edwards, who's a pretty good linebacker and a pretty good comparison with the Bears, and this is what Justin pointed out, got a 2-year deal at around $20 million. But TJ Edwards also isn't 32 years old, which Alex Anzalone is. Let's see here. Derek Barnes just got 3 years and $24 million. Alex is coming off of a 3-year, $18 million deal. My big question is, would Anzalone be willing to stay in Detroit, and play on a series of one-year deals with a lot of bonuses and just do it that way? Is he going to demand, and he and his agent going to demand multi-year deal? And what would a contract for an Anzalone look like? Now, Alex played in New Orleans and was teammates with Trey Hendrickson. And yes, every day I get people, hey, the Lions trading for Trey Hendrickson? Number one, no, they're not. How are the Lions going to be able to afford Trey Hendrickson, who, oh, by the way, is making $15 million this year and wants an extension and is fighting with the Bengals right now? Brad Holmes has said it numerous times. They cannot afford two edge rushers who are both going to be making between $30 and $40 million. And that's what Aiden Hutchinson is looking for. And Hendrickson as well. Hendrickson recently said publicly he's not playing this season on his current deal. So if the Lions were to trade for Trey Hendrickson, they'd also have to sign him to an extension, and the Lions can't pay everybody. All right. Now, what was interesting about all of this stuff is that Anzalone recently was defending his former teammate in New Orleans, Trey Hendrickson, on social media, only to then delete his support of Trey Hendrickson off of his Twitter page. So does that mean that Alex Anzalone's going, hey, Trey Hendrickson deserves a new deal? And oh, by the way, I'm over here playing on a one-year deal. Alex Anzalone also has not attended voluntary organized team activities. Now, again, in the past, he also has worked out on his own and hasn't been there. Not every time. He's been there sometimes. But what if Alex Anzalone decides, you know what? I'm not going to training camp. I know I'm 32. I know I'm a captain, but I'm on the last year of a 3-year, $18 million deal, which right now looks amazingly affordable for the Lions. They're getting arguably their best linebacker at $6 million a year. They just gave Derek Barnes $8 million a year, and Derek Barnes has not had the productivity consistently that the Gaines media poster boy has. Keep an eye on this. I think the Lions are going to figure something out. I do. But, Alex, a little bit vocal about it. And again, not showing up to OTAs. And again, not every player is there. The Lions have re-upped Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Taylor Decker, David Montgomery, Aleem McNeil, Kirby Joseph have all come back. Can't pay everybody. But Alex Anzalone, 32 or not, very, very productive. But I wonder if the Lions can get something done before training camp so that he stays and he's happy and that it's to Alex's liking. They've always found a way. But if you're Alex, you're probably sitting down with your agent going, all these guys have been signed. I just want my piece too. And I'm a captain and I'm 32, and this would be my last really probably big contract. All right, we got a call of the day coming up, but this was pointed out today by Jeremy Reisman at Pride of Detroit, per The Athletic. The Lions, of course, going into the owners' meetings, proposed that the 4 division winners and 3 wild card teams would be reseeded in terms of overall record and not just division champions. We had that issue, of course, last year, where the wild card team in Washington or in Minnesota had 14 wins. The Rams last year had 10? Were the Rams 10-7? The Rams were 10-7, and yet the Rams were hosting a 14-win Minnesota team in the first round of the postseason last year, and that game ended up having to be played in Arizona due to the wildfires out in LA. According to The Athletic, Detroit's proposal has been tweaked. There's going to be some votes that go on with the owners this week, including the tush push as well, and will that be banned? Under the new proposal from The Athletic, first round of the playoffs would be seeded as it currently is, with division winners getting home field. However, after the first round, the Lions are presenting, the teams would be reseeded by overall record. So if a wild card team advances and has a better record than one of the remaining division winners, they would assume the higher seed. Meaning last year, the Lions would have played the Rams and not the Commanders in the second round. Now, what's ironic about all of this is What if the Lions, and this would be a classic, almost SOL moment. What if the Lions got this proposal to go through and then the Lions won the division, let's say at 11-6 or something, but had to go on the road to face, let's say, a 12-win Commanders team in the second round because they have a better record? Wouldn't that be hilarious? You'd be like, wait a minute. Why are we going on the road? We won the division. Oh, it would be reseeded because that's what we pushed. I'm so confused by this. I almost am voting against it. Like, just keep it as is because I'm confused. But that's what the Lions are proposing this week. That if a team with a better record gets into round 2 in the divisional round, they should be hosting that week and not having to go on the road, if that makes sense. That would be like last year, Minnesota hosting a second round game rather than the first round game they had to play on the road, if that makes sense to people. But they lost that game anyway. All right, call of the day coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. It is a beautiful, chilly Monday in the Motor City. Jamie Edmonds going to join us tomorrow from WJR right here on Locked On Lions. All right, folks, you want to be a call of the day, which we always enjoy. We love call of the day. You need to go to, if I could speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page. By the way, for those of you watching on YouTube, yes, I was trimming my beard last night. And, sometimes, look, we make mistakes. All right. I was trimming it up and I messed it up. I had a hole on the side of my face. So I'm shaving it off for now, but the beard will come back. I'm not going to shave now for like the next couple weeks. So, take that, put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right. Call of the day. Let's do this. We are hearing from one of our everydayers. Ty is back. He is our call of the day, a lengthy one. Let's take a listen.
What's going on, Matt? It's Ty from Flash Film Academy, your YouTube buddy. Back again. I was your first ever call, and I'm back. So I got 2 things I want to touch on really quick. One, I live in Dallas, born and raised in Detroit. After the military, I moved to Dallas. And when you're America's team, you pay America's prices. So for everybody that was like, man, I can't wait for the Lions to be great, this comes with great teams. The Cowboy tickets are never cheap. Not for standing room, not to be outside in the parking lot and wave at the stadium. It costs money. So it sucks, but that's what comes with a really, really good team, especially when they're consistent over the past 3 years. Number 2, our schedule don't scare me. We're the big bad wolf on the schedule. Nobody scares me anymore, and I love that. You want a team that's like that. Plus, we don't want a soft schedule when we get in the playoffs and get punched in the mouth by a good team. I like that we're playing playoff football all year long. Bring it. Plus, keep in mind, everybody, before you panic, 4 or 5 of the teams you see on the schedule are going to be trash. There's always 5 teams we start the year off thinking they're going to be great, and they end up being trash. So I promise you, some of the scary people or scary teams you see won't look like nothing by week 9 or week 8 when we got to face them. So Lions fans, keep your head up. Y'all wanted a good team. We got a good team. I know it feels different, but rock with them, support them, and let's go win this championship this year. I'm stacking up so I can go to the Super Bowl. I'll see y'all there.
All right, Ty, thank you very much for today's call of the day. A lot to engage with there from Ty. Number one, about the ticket situation. And I've heard, folks, I don't want to spend a lot of time complaining about the Lions because of what they've done and what they've accomplished and how great of a job they've done both on and off the field. All right. I don't want to do that. Ty is right. The demand for tickets in Dallas and in other markets is through the roof all of the time. Trying to get standing room at Jerry World does cost a lot of money. And some of these other markets where it's more expensive to live, let's say, even in LA, all right, trying to, my friend's a realtor out in LA, Eddie Cohn, and the other day he was listing a house on his Instagram. It was a $2.5 million house. That same house in downtown Birmingham or in Northville or in Shelby Township would be worth a lot less. So it's a supply and demand situation. I will say this. I have been told by a couple of people that are trying to get single game suites that the Lions are telling them, oh, you need to get a suite for the Miami preseason game too in order to be eligible. That is ridiculous. Stop. Don't do that. Lions, don't do that. Yes, the tickets are a lot. Yes, going on the Game Time app right now and getting standing room for Dallas is $350. But don't gouge. And the line, I know you're running a business. I get it. But telling some of these people that get single game suites, you're gonna have to get one of the preseason games too. Don't do that. Please don't do that. And as far as the schedule goes, and look, Ty is right. There are going to be some games that right now on the schedule we go, oh man, that's going to be murderous come November, or oh man, that's going to be a tough game. And let's say a Matthew Stafford, let's say, gets injured out in LA and is out for the year. And instead of the Lions facing Matthew Stafford, they're facing what? Is it Carson Wentz? Is it Jimmy Garoppolo? One of those is the backup out there. That's a big difference. You're right. There are going to be some teams on the schedule that later on in the year, we're going to go, man, we had that when we went game by game in May as a loss. That now could be a win. So yes, things change as the season goes on. There's always new teams each year that we anticipate being good that are bad and that are bad being good. No one expected last year the Minnesota Vikings, who looked on the schedule to be 2 cake wins. The Lions beat them twice. Those looked like 2 gimmies last year. They won 14 football games. 14. Maybe the Browns this year. Maybe the Giants. We're thinking right now that's a layup, and maybe they won't be. Pittsburgh right now every year, Coach T. The standard is the standard. Mike Tomlin. Every year his teams are good. Every year. Steelers right now look like it's a Mason Rudolph show or Will Howard. But if they get Aaron Rodgers, different story. And it's also when you play these teams. Week 18 right now against the Bears looks like, oh man, that could be a great game. But if the Bears are terrible and got Caleb's hurt and the season's over, that could be a walk in the park. You just never know. But Ty, thanks for checking in on our call of the day. Jamie Edmonds from WJR. She's on JR Mornings every single day from 6 to 9. Will join us tomorrow on this very podcast. It's been a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Please tell your friends about us that are big Lions fans. We're back again tomorrow.